Target still. Threat destroyed.
Right engine's up! Side is up! APS repaired! Identify target.
Hostile tank. Target eliminated.
APS saved us!
Reloading.
Identify target.
Hostile PC.
APS up! Hostile truck!
Hostile tank.
APS is damaged!
Hostile.
APS down!
Ammo up.
Primary site hit! They took out my site! APS repaired! Site repaired!
Enemy destroyed. Hostile tank. Gun damage.
Identify target.
Hostile tank. Threat destroyed.
Identify target.
Hostile tank. Reloading.
Okay, APS up. Identify target.
Hostile tank. Target destroyed.
Identify target.
Target locked on. Target's gone. Target eliminated.
Identify target.
Hostile tank. Reloading.
Identify.
Hostile tank.
Identify.
Hostile tank. No men.
Primary site hit. Identify.
Hostile tank.
Identify.
Hostile tank. No effect.
APS knocked down a shot.
Reloading. Optics damage. Shit, optics down.
They took out the...
Site repaired.
Optics repaired. APS up. Identify target.
Hostile truck. Ammo up.
Sights down. APS is damaged.
gone. No pen.
Primary sight hit. Optics down.
Target's gone. Target destroyed.
Identify target. APS is damaged.
Hostile tank. Reloading. Multiple systems damaged. Target eliminated.
Optics repaired. APS repaired.
Target destroyed.
Identified.
Hostile PC. Target locked.
Optics down. APS knocked down a shot.
Optics hit.
APS knocked down.
Threat destroyed.
APS repaired. Sight is up.
Ammo up.
Damn it, sights down, I can't see. APS. Sight is up. APS repaired. Okay, APS up. Identify target.
Hostile PC.
APS knocked down a shot.
They took out my sight.
APS knocked down. Damn it, sights down, I can't see.
Optics repaired.
APS repaired. Sight repaired. Identify.
Hostile truck.
ABS saved us. Identify.
Hostile tank.
ABS knocked out.
Truck destroyed.
ABS repaired.
Reloading.
Lights down. Sights repaired. ABS up.
Hit our tracks.
Identify.
Hostile truck. Target locked. Target's gone.
ABS saved us. Lights down.
Target down.
Sights repaired.
Tracks up. Sight repaired.
ABS repaired. Okay, ABS up. Identify.
Hostile PC.
Identify target.
Hostile PC. Smoke grenade out.
Identify.
Hostile tank.
Primary sight hit. ABS took a hit. Sights down. Sight is up. Identify.
Hostile tank.
Dante, ABS up. Identify target.
Hostile tank.
ABS damaged. Identify target.
Hostile tank. No effect. Optics damage. knocked down a shot. APS up.
Smoke out! Move! Move!
APS knocked down.
No effect. Smoke grenade out!
APS up.
Championship. Some people might be revising their estimates after just, well, the first couple of days of practice. 9th place. Never discount Pecco Bagnaia though, and never discount the Suzuki's coming through regardless of where they qualify. It's a race motorcycle, that factory GSX-R, right? I'm sure one man who's missed this special pre-race buzz is Livio Supo, team manager of the new Suzuki team.
Guys, have you got a band in the commentary box there? That's all I can hear. Livio, I gotta say, your riders and machines have looked incredibly strong all weekend, and it's almost disappointing looking from the outside where they are on the grid, but you must have still really high hopes for the race.
You know, at the end, the result, of course, is not good, but the performance is good because we are with both riders at very close lap time, about 0.2 of a second from the front row with Marcus, and Marcus 0.2 of a second from the first position. So, you know, that's the problem with MotoGP nowadays. The gap are so small that it's nothing to be back. Anyway, probably here, you know, usually the race here at the beginning, nobody wants to push because the tires can have some trouble at the end. So most probably, I mean, usually here there is a kind of train at the beginning, and I think we have the pace to stay in that train, and then we will see what happens.
Livio, something else I saw was the pace that Joan Mir could do on the medium tyre, and he's got to be one of the favourites for me for the podium or even better. I'm wondering, do you think it's possible to come through?
Romantic, not to be scaramantic, but I think you know, it's the first race of the year. Everybody has a good pace. FP1-2 was very good yesterday. Looks like we were a little bit more in trouble.
Identify
it's
target.
difficult.
Hostile tank.
It's difficult to predict, and it's good for the show.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Yes, Sam, we don't have a marching band in our commentary box. You've got one alongside you on the grid there. Marching band on the grid. Who's going to be marching towards the first 25 points in the 2022 MotoGP World Championship? This is all brilliant, building up the atmosphere, isn't it, ahead of this first Grand Prix, as we said. It's a feeling you can't replicate, as Johann Zarco with a lot of work to do from the head of that fifth row in 13th place, having a little chat there with Pramac Ducati boss Paolo Campinotti. He was very, very strong. He almost got into that second qualifying session. Very good in this morning's warm-up session as well. Second he was, wasn't he, Johann Zarco? And again, a little bit like Enea Bastianini, despite the pre-race tension, the nerves, trying to at least outwardly look pretty relaxed and calm. Let's go down onto the grid again then. Simon Crafar as with the reigning world champions. Fabio Quartararo, the champ, starts from 11th. His teammate Franco Morbidelli in 12th. Simon's on the grid with their team boss Maio Meregali.
Mayo, both Fabio and Franco look like they did a good job, you know, night's work last night in qualifying and before. I want to know your thoughts coming into this race.
Yeah, well, I expect for sure a better qualify, because as you know, the goal was for us to be able to start from first or second row. To start from fourth, for sure the race will be more difficult, but the pace has been very good for both riders, especially Franco. Fabio really put in a row a lot of good laps. It will be really crucial the beginning of the race. He has to push hard. And then I do believe that also last year we were able to come from behind. And we also, the tire that we choose might also help to give some more support from the second part of the race. And nothing else. Then we are in the both rider hands.
Thank you, Mayo, and good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to Maio Meregali, thanks to Simon. He's right there, Maverick Vinales, who won the Grand Prix here, well, the first Grand Prix of 2021. He had a lot of work to do coming through the pack, and he did it. Likewise, Fabio Quartararo spent a lot of that Grand Prix of Doha, which kick-started his championship challenge. He was down around 9th place, didn't panic and fought his way through. Now, Aleix Espargaro, interesting tyre news. He's the only man in the top 6 on the graphic which Lewis talked you through that was on the medium rear tyres. Great to have the virtual fan wall back. We welcome you back. We hope you're all safe and well wherever you're watching in the world, and we hope as we move on throughout the course of the 21-round MotoGP World Championship, we see plenty more of you live on site. We hope to be back in Japan, Australia, Malaysia. We hope to return to Thailand, of course. We hope to go to new venues, Indonesia and Finland. So much intrigue, so much getting excited about this MotoGP World Championship this year. And again, keeping a low profile, just seeking sanctuary, keeping himself out of the limelight, keeping himself out of the glare, trying to keep himself cool, easing off the pressure. Fabio Quartararo relaxing inside the Monster Energy Yamaha garage, because he knows that this man badly wants his crown back. There's just been this feeling, this sense that Marc Marquez is back to his best.
Target immobilized.
Absolutely, we're expecting big things from the Ducatis on the grid. They've got 4 of them up in the top end of the grid, including 2 on the front row. Simon is with Paolo Ciabatti.
Yes, I am. Paolo, I've come to you to talk about Ducati overall, because with 8 bikes on the grid, so many exciting riders. I mean, you've got 2 young guys.
They're immobilized. Target destroyed.
But Johan Zarco back in the teens, looking amazing in FP4. I would love
Identify
your
target.
thoughts on
Hostile,
Ducati tonight.
TC.
Well, as always, difficult to say, but for sure we have at least 5 riders, I think, who are capable of fighting for the top position.
Target locked on.
Definitely Jorge Martin and Eva Cianini.
Reloading.
But Jack
Target's
Franco
gone.
and Johan, I think they can do very good, because finally we solved some problem with the feeling of the front of our factory riders. And Johan was really unlucky yesterday.
Target
when he
locked on.
was getting
Target eliminated.
So, but having said so, Marquez is going to be fast, the Aprilias are fast, the Suzuki are fast, the KTM. So it's really going to be very close, I think. Many riders, many bikes, a good show for the spectators, maybe a little bit stressful for us, but this is a great way to begin the championship.
Thank you for your time. Best of luck.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks to Paolo Ciabatti from Ducati. Can they make a winning start for 2021? We're going to pause very, very shortly, I think, for the Qatari national anthem. Of course, this new special grid ceremony to kick off this new championship. Brad Binder, he looks like he's got a bit of a dry mouth there. Does he take some fluid on board? Even the very best. Brad Binder looks a bit uptight, a bit tense. He's going from 7th place on the head of that 3rd row alongside Joan Mir and Pecco Bagnaia. What a night it is for the Binder family as well, though. What a moment, fairy tale, dream come true stuff. Joined on the grid, of course, by younger brother Darren. His parents are here this weekend. They've flown in from South Africa to witness this special moment. This man, Marco Bezzecchi, top rookie, really impressive on the Euro GP21. 15th high-class victory over James Arthur and Miguel Oliveira.
Target locked on.
This is what it's all about. This is what we love coming to
Identify
Qatar.
target.
The spectacular night lights dazzle the desert sun here as we move ever closer to the opening round of the World Championship. Let's pause for the national anthem.
Identify.
Hostile tank. Reloading. Target locked on. Target destroyed. Enemy destroyed. Ammo up.
Identify.
Hostile tank. Reloading. Ammo up.
Well, what a perfect way to get us set for this opening round of 2022 MotoGP, the Grand Prix of Qatar. Now the fireworks start pre-race. The fireworks are going to happen, aren't they? Of course, over the next
Target
hour or
locked
so.
on.
You're not going to want to miss a single second of this upcoming season over here at the Losail International Circuit. It's always a spectacular show under the night lights. Last year we had two incredible close races. Qatar 2 last year with the closest top 15 and closest top 10 in history. Now then, this is all part of a new special MotoGP grid ceremony pre-race where locals digging the trees, VIPs, and members of course of president, and they will stand in front of course that famous Racing Together banner. There is the Tower of Champions as well, and there is of course the Losail iconic stadium which hosts the FIFA World Cup final later on this year. There is the Tower of Champions. That's the prize you're all looking for. Next to it is the race winning prize here in Qatar, and Racing Together, well, that phrase never more appropriate than in these difficult and uncertain times for so many of us in the world. We are, as it says at the bottom of our screens, united for peace. A governing body taking strong measures against the authorities involved in the current atrocities involving Ukraine. We stand for peace, we race for peace, and we are united for peace.
Yes, two trophies at the front of the grid there that Marc Marquez is very familiar with. He won the MotoGP race here, of course, in 2014, but hasn't won here since. He's looking to, of course, have his plaque on the Tower of Champions for the 7th time in the Premier Class and the 9th time overall later this year.
Good he is at coming through the pack. We know how good he is as well at making overtakes and keeping his tyres in good order. Do not discount Joan Mir. Was that Martin trying to recover the lost ground he made off the start? It was a poor start from Martin.
He was trying to get the inside of Aleix Espargaro. He lost the position back to him again, though, after going at the inside. But dream ticket for the Repsol Honda team. Pol Espargaro leading as Fabio Quartararo makes progress. This is where he has to make his progress, in this infield section, where the straight line speed isn't going to hamper him. Up the inside of Jorge Martin. Just the first lap that Quartararo needed, up to P7 from 11th on the grid.
Yeah, already getting wheel spin on that medium Michelin rear tyre through that tyre-torturing turn 11 there. Fabio Quartararo just about keeping Jorge Martin at bay, although with the slipstream and the power of the Ducati down this start-finish straight, he might be easily picked off. The Yamaha's been about anything between 10 and 12k slower. Brilliant by the world champion, ex-world champion Joan Mir just sticks his leg out there, made an apology quickly to Enea Bastianini. Got through on the Italian at turn 15. Martin doesn't need the slipstream and the top speed of the Ducati to pick off Quartararo. He's got underneath the Yamaha man in the final corner at turn 16.
Who would have expected this then? At the end of the first lap, it's a Repsol Honda 1-2. It's Espargaro leading from Marc Marquez. Is Marquez going to go through immediately? Up the inside of his teammate he goes. Paul Espargaro doesn't fight it too hard. Who would have expected Brad Binder to be next behind them? And Paul Espargaro straight away sending a message to his teammate. He ain't no number 2 at Honda.
Yeah, Marquez was just in that little bit hot. He went a little bit wide, maybe a metre offline. No second invitation needed for Paul Espargaro to take the lead back. Excellent first lap, excellent start for Brad Binder. We've always said he's a Sunday man. He can qualify well. You know he's going to be in the game. You know he's going to be fighting in that top 6. Well, it's better so far. The KTM man up inside that top 3. What a first lap as well it was for Joan Mir. He's been a big mover from 8th to 4th spot.
Absolutely. He's ahead of Enea Bastianini, who is the leading Ducati on the road. The Ducatis collectively all had poor starts. Bastianini's the first of them in 5th. Jack Miller's dropped down 5 places to 9th. Bagnaya's down behind Miguel Oliveira in 14th. And Johann Zarco, he's dropped 6 places to 19th. The Ducatis just did not get away.
That's been a shocking start to 2021 for the pre-season favourite Pecco Bagnaia. He finished last season so strongly, only down in 14th place at the end of the first lap after a wretched start. He's got a lot of ground to recover here. Then the man in the top 3, the only man with a medium rear tyre on, was Brad Binder. Now that should pay dividends, you'd think, in the second half of the race. How much will Paul Espargaro and Marc Marquez chew up and burn up that soft rear tyre while they try to run this pace, or will they slow it down? Will they back off, try and bunch up the group and then attack, keep them live for the last 6 or 7 laps? That's where it's going to be key. That's what Michelin have told us. That's in the paddock so far this weekend. It's going to be all about the last 6 or 7 laps and who's conserved the tyres the best.
Paul Espargaro looking good at the front of this race. Joan Mir, though, is a key contender here, looking to fight his way through. He's already up to 4th. Pecco Bagnaia trying to make good progress. That's it on the inside of Ducati. He's already back to 12. Over to the race straight. Just how strong is that Suzuki down the race straight? Joan Mir is able to hold the straight. He's able to hold the name back in the pipeline. Bastianini is the fastest rider on track.
Giannini, 1:54.953. That's the best lap of the Grand Prix we've seen so far. Fair play to the Italian, it's the only 1:54 we've seen at the Grand Prix so far. So he's quickly into his groove, having started from the front row for the very first time.
Fabio Quartararo in 8th position at the moment. He's just at the back of his leading group, 2 seconds off the lead. I think he would have settled for this for the first few laps of the race to make his way through the pack. Just closing
Identify target. Hostile tank.
through this race as Mir has a look at the inside of Brad Binder. Running KTM in their wildest dreams, we expected Brad Binder to stay on the front. Be challenging to Repsol Hondas for the lead of this Grand Prix, but Joan Mir looking threatening for it.
It never really mattered on Friday or Saturday what Brad Binder did last year, even in 2020. He always found something on Sunday. He had a bit of a sprinkling of the old Valentino Rossi pattern, didn't he?
Identify target. Hostile truck.
Kicked off 4 places, but at the moment not able to find safe passage through on the South African directly ahead of him. That's Giannini. Shows front wheel to me, and there is Aleix Espargaro then, still in 6th place, ahead of Fabio Quartararo.
It looks like he's got Alex Rins really itching to get past him. Quartararo just slightly detached from this leading group. Second behind the Ducati of Jorge Martin. Is Quartararo able to win qualifying? That was as good as he had. That was as much pace as he had to qualify 11th on the grid. And at the moment, he's finding his pace a little bit too hot at the front.
Bagnaia not rattled by a shocking start. He's starting to make his way through the pack again now. He's just taken Alex Marquez with 10th place on this lap. Here comes the Suzuki. We would not have seen this in recent years. Will be a Suzuki nudging up 355 kilometres an hour. Jack Miller reckons they gained 30 horsepower in the winter. Alex Rins was buzzing and beaming on Friday when he saw he got the top spin. Miller hadn't on a factory Suzuki before. They've made massive strides with the aero package, the engine, the rear ride height device. That Suzuki, without any question, is back as a championship contender this year. Rins into what, 8th place?
Yeah, Ducati aren't really getting their wish for a slow pace. We were expecting low 55s, potentially high 54s for race pace. Alex Rins on a 1:54.6, the fastest lap of the race. That was only a 10th faster. Here comes Joan Mir again, having a look at the inside. Brad Binder in the wide line. into turn 6, which suggests that he's leaving the door wide open. But so far, he's holding firm in third place. So far, so good for Suzuki. They're both making progress. Mir seeming comfortable in fourth, but beware the beast just behind him.
Binder crucially has been able to go for that medium Michelin front tyre as well, which gives him that better braking stability when he's trail braking in as well, a little bit more edge grip. Last year, when he had to run the soft and the hotter conditions, he was all at sea. He couldn't stop the bike. He felt like he was crashing in every corner. With the improvements that KTM have made in the winter as well, with their acceleration, they've got that metal throttle connection, they've got more mechanical and electronical grip, and that means that coming off the corner as well, the KTM can get out of the turn, so it's really, really hard to pass KTM. Of course, Brad Binder super aggressive on harness races in this MotoGP pack as well, so Mir's got his hands full here.
Now falling behind Paul Espargaro. Marc Marquez did show a wheel, of course, early on in the race. He did go past at the start of the second lap, ran a little bit wide. He seems content at the moment to sit behind his teammate. Whether that will change if the likes of Brad Binder and Joan Mir start getting involved at the front, we'll have to wait and see. Fabio Quartararo still starting to get a little bit detached. He's got Pecco Bagnaia closing in on him. Ducati trying to find their way back into this Grand Prix after their nervous starts.
Yeah, the pace just dropping off a little bit. Espargaro's knocked him out to 155. And Marquez nobody behind Espargaro. They don't need to do anything. They know Espargaro's not getting away here. He's not trying to get away as well. So he's just managing this pace. He's very, very wary, very conscious about tyre life in those last 6 or 7 laps. And this is the race that we kind of expected it to be at the start, or the first half of it, the first 2/3. A big, big group battle. Thankfully for the fans at home, that's exactly what we've got. Espargaro then pole leads from his representative teammate Marc Marquez. Binder still there in third place. Mir fourth. There's not too much overtaking in this league group. They all seem pretty happy to hold station right now and just let the race come to them. No sense of burning the tyres of this late race. Still 18 laps to go.
Yeah, Alex Rins was the fastest man once again. Last lap, Kevin was soft for the medium rear tyre. Expect him to come good in the end of the race. A little bit wide there for Joan Mir as he comes under pressure. Coming out, we're in a bit of a holding pattern at the moment. Bastianini really pushing the front into turn 9 there as he wants to get on to the 2020 World Champion. Fabio Quartararo is still in 9th place. He's the sole real contender for Yamaha. Frankie Mosley didn't get a good start at all. He's now outside the points in 16th.
Yeah, a bit of a horror show as well on the opening night here for Jack Miller. Not on his way at all. Excellent qualifying last night. He's been relegated down to 14th.
Identify target. Hostile truck. Enemy destroyed.
Recently from the Australian, but not going according to plan at all for Jack Miller. It didn't go his way in the 2 Qatar races
Identified.
last year.
Hostile PC.
Speculation about his future place. Martin and Bastianini already making public congratulations. Will Miller's ride. Here's a bit of Ducati power.
Target destroyed.
Trying to blitz past a Suzuki. What? A Ducati car blitz by Suzuki on the start finish straight here in Qatar. That just shows you clear evidence there, visually, of how good the Suzuki is this year, engine-wise, aero-wise, that drive they get off the final corner. You would not have seen that over the last few years, and Ducati not able to outrun Suzuki down this one corner to start finish straight.
Brad Binder's gone past Marc Marquez as well. Brad Binder up into 2nd place. That is not what we expected to be safe. Bastianini can give up a little. This time he is going to get it done on Joan Mir, who's eased aside into turn 4. Bastianini on the move. He looked like he was getting a little bit impatient behind Joan Mir. He's now made the move.
Binder up into 2nd place. KTM have never even had a top 6
Identify
here
target.
in the
Hostile
start. It's been
PC.
a bogey circuit since they went to the MotoGP World Championship back in 2017. Now there's
Enemy destroyed.
on the brakes into the first corner. It
Optic
looks
down.
like he actually got him way, way too hot. He was never going to stop that. Thankfully, he didn't lose the front, took the front, just knew that release the brakes, run wide, take his punishment, and then try and recover lost place. So Binder didn't have to work for that one, but he's 2nd looking strong.
Here's a Bastianini straight on the back of Marc Marquez as well. He looks like he really wants to get over this. Bastianini, he's always had that pace late in a Grand Prix, but he seems to be making his move a little bit earlier this evening. Touching on the rookies, we mentioned Marco Bezzecchi, who's ahead of Jack Miller, but a shout out for Darren Binder as well. He's up into 19th position. He is ahead of his teammate and Losail specialist Andrea Dovizioso by a couple of places. Binder, both Binders, having a pretty impressive opening night.
Yeah, there are some riders in this field that are having a bit of a humbling start to 2022. Jack Miller, we mentioned, he's just off another place as well to Taki Nakagami. Likewise, Frankie Morbidelli on his factory Yamaha start in 2022. He's down in 17th place. He's been pushed out of the point scoring place. The fully fit Frankie Morbidelli as well now. Now then, can Enea Bastianini's Ducati do anything about the Repsol 100? Marc Marquez directly ahead of him. He's picked up some slipstream. He'll have the inside line and he eases by Marc Marquez on the brakes into the first corner. So Marquez, is he going to pull it a little bit tighter? No, ooh, Mia's gone well wide. Likewise, Jorge Martin, that's the slipstream effect. That's just those extra 5, 6, 7 kilometres now you pick up in the slipstream. It just changes your braking marker. We saw it last year. Pecco Bagnaia actually lost the chance of a victory when he ran in hot at the first corner in the Grand Prix of Qatar last year. So it's an easy mistake to make. Simon, down to you for some thoughts.
Yeah, just about that braking area. When we first saw it with Mark, now a couple of others, in recent years with the wings, they help the bike stop as well. When that device clicks back up into place and the wing's angle of attack works, they rely on it with their braking marker. But if there's someone in front of them in the braking area, the wings don't work and they can't stop.
Yeah, all that dirty air around the wings. Yeah, good point, Simon. So Pol Espargaro, well, it's been plan A gone to perfection so far for him. He made a brilliant launch off the line from 6th place on the grid, and he's been happy to make the front running here, of course. There's been missed opportunities, hasn't there, in the past of Pol Espargaro. He's been so tantalisingly close to breaking his Premier Class victory duck. I'm sure wherever you are in the world watching from the sofas on the virtual fan wall, you're enjoying this cracking start to the 2022 MotoGP World Championship. Pol Espargaro has the advantage from Brad Binder, still there in 2nd place. Bastianini in 3rd, Marquez 4th, then it's Mia. Aleix Espargaro trying to get on in this podium battle as well on the factory Aprilia.
I wonder whether there's a problem for Jack Miller. He's dropped right the way down to last position now. He's 2 seconds even behind Raul Fernandez at the back of the field. There is clearly some sort of issue with the 43 Ducati, and Joan Mir, who we expected to go forwards, is going backwards. That's Aleix Espargaro picking him off.
Yeah, Mir's getting a bit beaten up here, isn't he? Getting a bloody nose, the former world champion. Miller must have some kind of problem then, as Lewis said, he's dropped all the way back. There's a yellow flag as well.
Yeah, Marco Bezzecchi's dropping down the field, unfortunately. The rookie who's had such an impressive weekend. Bezzecchi has dropped off the tower on the left-hand side of the screen, so we think something may have gone wrong. Mir looking to fight back against Aleix Espargaro. Both Suzuki's really in the middle of the battle. Alex Rins just behind. He's trying to keep Jorge Martin at bay. Jack Miller has entered the pit, and Marco Bezzecchi, unfortunately, has entered the gravel trap.
Oh, Jack Miller doesn't have a lot of luck, does he, here in Qatar? You remember when that seat worked loose a few years ago, and then last year, I remember in the opening Grand Prix, he had a mystery vibration problem on the right-hand side of his tyre. It was almost launching him to the moon through all the right-handers. So Jack Miller's woes in Qatar continue. There's Marco Bezzecchi. Sadly, it's been a real promising MotoGP debut up to that point for Bezzecchi. He slides out at the final corner when he was looking well set for a point-scoring finish. Yellow flags and are still out in all sectors. I'm sure Simon's going to try and find out exactly what happened to Jack Miller. Bad start to the year for the Australian when he needs a good start to the year to ensure that he's putting himself at the forefront of the minds of the Ducati management for that coveted factory seat next year. It's been knees and elbows and hands all going between these two, Mir and Aleix Espargaro. Surprised to see Mir struggling to run the pace at the front at the moment. Will he come on strong in the latter stages?
Absolutely. Well, he's leaving himself a little bit of work to do at the moment. He's only a second off the lead at the moment, although that top four do appear to be getting a little bit of breathing space out of the front, but it just underlines how competitive MotoGP is in 2022. 5 different manufacturers in this 6 wider leading groups. Pol Espargaro leading for Honda ahead of a KTM of Brad Binder, a Ducati of Enea Bastianini, the second Honda of Marc Marquez, with an Aprilia and a Suzuki right on their tails.
Well, in the early stage of this Qatar Grand Prix, I don't think anybody would have thought pre-season that Pol Espargaro and Brad Binder and Enea Bastianini would be holding the top 3 places, with world champion Fabio Quartararo in 9th and runner-up last year, Pecco Bagnaia in 10th. Still a long way to go. There is confirmation on your screens. Unfortunately, Jack Miller retired down and out of the opening Grand Prix. That's cruel luck for Jack Miller, really unfortunate for him. Now we're looking back at Alex Rins, and then the pole man Jorge Martin. He's in 8th. Bagnaia actually has just taken that 9th place away from Fabio Quartararo, probably, I'd imagine, using a bit of grunt. The chasm between the Ducatis and the fastest motorcycles here at the Yamahas has been pretty embarrassing. Jack Miller storms out the back of the factory Ducati garage. There's been a problem with a lot of his doing. Totally out of his hands, not the way he wanted to kick off 2022. Might need to have a bit of a 10-metre exclusion zone around Jack for a few minutes.
Yeah, this isn't the race we were expecting in many ways, but the pace of the pace is getting quicker. Pol Espargaro now in the mid-154s. The big question is, will that soft rear tyre that Paul Espargaro is running, as well as his teammate Marc Marquez, will that still give up good grip at the end of the race? Brad Binder perhaps sitting pretty in second place. Not a position he expected to be sitting in this Grand Prix, but he's of course got the medium tyres on. Rightly out of necessity really, that's a tyre that KTM kind of have to run in these cool conditions. They can't really run the soft, they just can't get the performance out of it. But Binder running comfortably in second place, Bastianini just on his tail, and the top four, the only riders able really to run this 154 pace. The likes of Zarco and Morbidelli further back over the 54s, but they're way out of contention at the moment.
Yeah, I suppose the big question in terms of victory hopes here, can the likes of Rins, Martin, Quattro and Bagnaia bridge what at the moment looks like a pretty big gap? Are they just trying to manage their pace and have some good tyre life towards the back end of the race? Alex Rins is detached by about a second
Loader,
behind
stable.
his teammate Joan
Hostile
Mir.
truck, parked.
We turn then to about 4 tenths back to Martin. Starting lap number 10 then, and we're starting to get some real laps coming in now. The pace is hot. Espargaro set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, right back to Alex Espargaro, who's always been confident in his race pace on the factory Aprilia. The pace then drops to a 1:54.465. Here's the fastest man on the circuit. Yellow flag in sector 1.
Hostile truck,
So
parked.
who will be lost in the first sector? Or should we just run wide going into that first corner?
Let's go to Simon Craig, our brief with some news on Jack Miller. Simon.
Yeah, guys, I can't get the official reason for
Target locked.
stopping, but I believe I heard
Target eliminated.
word and the word electronics.
That's really cruel for Jack Miller. No wonder there's a cuss word. Alex Marquez, well, Honda have found some front-end confidence for their riders this year. They've certainly
Identify
made it
target.
more rider-friendly, a bit more margin for error on that RC213. Sadly, that's Alex Marquez's third crash of the weekend. He's opening to come through a premature landing as well when he was fighting just outside of the top 10 with Miguel Oliveira.
Cast your minds back to pre-season testing when we were in Sepanta earlier this year. We thought, and with good reason, that KTM were in a world of trouble. They seemed in all sorts of problems back in pre-season testing, which just underlines what an incredible performance Brad Binder is putting in here to run in second place. He's losing a little bit of ground on this back to Paul Espargaro, who's been pretty comfortable. He's put a bit of time back in this third sector. KTM seemed in a world of trouble back in pre-season testing. They made a step forward in the Mangalika test, but we never thought that we'd see Brad Binder not just running second, but keeping Paul Espargaro in lead, well and truly within range.
Target.
Right now looks
Load
everything
table.
the rider that he wasn't last year.
Target
It all
locked on.
looks quite easy, it's all smooth, it's all clean. Last year it was like a bucket
Target
bronco.
locked.
I mean, how many times have we motorcycle sending him into orbit, sending him over the moon? We're already now trying to get the switches on and switch the mappings to try and maybe preserve a bit more tyre life as we get into the second half of this Grand Prix. Marquez with just 5 in his personal best lap of the race. A 1:54.64.
Destroyed.
Clear of the three ahead of him. Paul Espargaro, Binder and Enea Bastianini, they all exchanged 54.7s. The yellow flag's out again in sector 1.
Keep an eye on that. Miguel Oliveira looks like he's dropping down the tiny speeds.
Yeah,
I think
it
it's
is.
the KTM, unfortunately, who's gone down. So a bit of a mixed night then for KTM. Here is Miguel Oliveira. Looks like that's on the outside of turn 1.
Well, he was sold down last year, Miguel Oliveira. He said coming into this 2022 season he had to have a lot less spikes, be more consistent, flat line on his performance. He's down at turn 1, unfortunately, and this just continues. It's horrendous, Rod. He scored just 9 points in the last 9 races of last year with 4 DNFs, and unfortunately he's kicked off the new year in the gravel trap as well. Far from now, he'll start Oliveira, keeping him more on his down course. His teammate Finn Grant in the fight for the victory, still hunting down Paul
Target
Espargaro.
locked.
Yeah, the Suzuki's are starting to grow into this
Destroyed.
group in the 150. He's just about matching this leading group, being headed by Paul Espargaro. We're on board now with Marc Marquez, trailing Enea Bastianini. Marc Marquez, as Matt said a moment ago, setting his personal best lap of the race last time around. It's difficult to know at this stage whether Marc Marquez is just sitting pretty in 4th place. He seemed to want to talk his chances down over the course of the weekend. They're challenging for the win and for the podium. It's pretty clear at this stage, a half distance in his MotoGP race, that Marc Marquez is well and truly in the podium battle.
Identify.
But is he just holding fire at the moment and keeping his powder dry in 4th place, or does he have more to offer?
What's
Target down.
improvements that we knew had come from HRC. Powerhouse like Honda were never going to take the last down with it. There's Nadia Panavini, of course, of the Guzini team, the widow of the late former 125cc world champion Fausto Guzini. Fantastically carrying on Fausto's legacy here, forming the MotoGP team. That's Pecco dearie me, friendly fire. Two top factory Ducatis out of the opening Grand Prix of the season. We're going to have to look at that one on the replay. They can't believe it. What a disastrous night for the Ducati Lenovo team. Jack Miller already out, and bitterly frustrated and angry, and now Pecco Bagnaia, he runs over to console Jorge Martin. That looks like then Bagnaia was the guilty man. He apologises to Jorge Martin. Jorge Martin looks like he takes it on the chin, but what a disaster. On the inside then comes Bagnaia. He's on the inside line. Front end just touched right from the
Target down.
inside. Poor on Martin, hung out to dry, nowhere to go. He gets clattered. The poleman Martinator out, and Pecco Bagnaia out as well. What drama in the opening Grand Prix.
What a disastrous opening night for Ducati. Nothing Jorge Martin could do. He was just being overtaken into turn one and found himself being scooped up into the gravel trap. Pol Espargaro, look, he's already looking, he's making a bit of a gap out of the front. He's a quarter of a second, 3/4 of a second, should I say, clear at the front. And Bastianini, who's Ducati's sole hope now at the front of this Grand Prix, looking as if he wants to make a bid immediately to get into second place.
Last year finished 2021 jubilant, joyous. They took their first ever podium lockout in Valencia in their Grand Prix history since they arrived back in 2003. It's been a start to 2022 they'll want to forget very, very quickly. No Miller in action, no Bagnaia in action. Jorge Martin, the poleman, wiped out by Pecco Bagnaia. You don't see Pecco Bagnaia make those kind of mistakes. He's going to be gutted. He'll be devastated, not for his own prospects, but the fact that he also wiped out Jorge Martin. Red faces on the red bike so far this weekend. Now, they're just still moving. Some of the debris, aren't they? That's why the yellow flags have still been out in Sector 1. Back at the front, Pol Espargaro. This will be a popular win if he hangs on here with 10 laps to go in Qatar. He was really put through the mill last year, battered and bruised so many times. That Honda last year, the really unruly Honda, really did spit him and chew him up last season. But Pol Espargaro looking so good, so strong at the front of this Grand Prix still.
Let's quickly get a tech observation from Simon.
Yes, guys, you know, everybody's been mentioning the last 7 laps, 6 laps, something like that, a sprint to the end, and about tyres, you know. But something nobody has mentioned is fuel. This track, these bikes, full, you know, the amount of full throttle they use and the tank size, they can't get the whole way on full power. So the teams have to cut it back at a certain point, and the most popular one last year was like give it full power in the beginning till they settle in, you know, to get in your race position. Then switch it down to lower power to do the race. Got enough fuel to turn it back up to full power and fight at the end.
Yeah, thanks to that, Simon. You just wonder now with a Bastianini, Marquez and Pol Espargaro got to find a way through on Van Binder, because Pol Espargaro at the front of this Grand Prix on this lap alone has taken half a second out of the South African. Pol Espargaro in the groove as he has been right from the get-go in this Grand Prix. It's a little bit forward He's coming down the start-finish straight now. There's nothing wrong with the top speed for KTM. No action for the Jello last year, but Bastianini's whipped on through. Beast mode engaged yet again. He knew he had to make that move. You can see Pol Espargaro just started for the bit of daylight at the front. He runs a little bit wide, cuts it back, chops back with his nose as they swing through the turn 2. But he's up in the second. Exactly what he needs to do. However,
In the 2022 season, that all of Ducati's hopes will be pinned on the shoulders of Andrea Bastianini on that 2021 bike with the Gresini team, who of course have gone fully independent once again for this season. Bastianini now has clear tarmac ahead of him. He's got a second of tarmac to try and make up. Can he now close the gap on Pol Espargaro? And crucially, can Marc Marquez quickly make the move? Bastianini wide, he's just going to hold it. Marc Marquez looking to take advantage too, but Bastianini really pushing on now. He knows he needs to win this game.
Bastianini in turn 6, running a little bit wide, but he's able to keep sunny side up, thankfully for his sake. Well, this is of course the proven Ducati from last year. That was the best Ducati we've ever seen since they came to the championship back in 2003. They're armed with data from 2 races here last year and a bunch of pre-season testing as well. So Andrea Bastianini is still, of course, doing an amazing job. But you can just see perhaps some of those other Ducatis, the GP22s, they're not quite at the level yet. They'll get there, I'm sure, of what the proven GP21 is. I've got to say though, Bastianini is still winging it neck. He's still riding out of his skin. Absolutely awesome job. Can he find a way to get
Identify
back
target.
Paul Espargaro?
Target locked on.
Leads by about 1.3 seconds.
Target
On
signed.
this lap 14.
Yeah, watching
Target locked.
the lead, those 3 tenths in that second sector where he ran wide at turn 6. He has started
Target
to
locked
chip
on.
away back at him over the course of the rest of the lap.
Turret destroyed.
After the roll is tyre choice going to play as the Gristini
Target
team
locked on.
urge their man
Turret
on.
destroyed.
Gristini across the line does close the gap. He was slow on the lap overall, but he dropped the lead to 1.4 seconds in sector 2. He pulled 3 tenths back in the second half of the lap. Pecco Bagnaia, the pre-season title favourite. No points for the Spanish Ducati team for the opening
Target
round of
locked.
the season. Here's another look on board with Jorge Martin, and you're about to see Pecco Bagnaia slide into view.
Target destroyed.
Keeps Pecco, isn't it? He's going to be really angry with himself, first and foremost, that he made the mistake and then wiped out the innocent Jorge Martin. Nothing that Martin could do about that. He's one of the nicest guys in the paddock, Pecco Bagnaia. He's not a dirty rider. He's not a rider that makes those kind of rash mistakes. It can happen only when you're on the limit.
Target locked on.
That's what they are in modern day MotoGP. Even the very best can get caught out. Unfortunately, Jorge Martin
Target signed.
involved as well. This is going to be a nice
Target locked on.
potentially for an airbag Giannini. This was
Threat
Fausto
destroyed.
Gresini's dream. He put all the foundations in place to bring back his own team in this MotoGP World Championship. Bastianini said pre-season his dream was to win a Grand Prix MotoGP, to honour
Hostile
Fausto's
truck
legacy.
parked.
He's doing Fausto proud right now, that's for sure.
Just very quickly, Simon, your view on that incident between Bagnaia and Martin?
Yeah, we know what happened, but I think Jorge was rather lucky. He sort them over. A little bit further into the turn with his knee on the ground, that bike on the side, that really hurts. Enough to put me up for a few races.
Yeah, unfortunately, all appears to be okay. We'll keep an eye on that. He needs to
Identify
get
target.
on
Hostile
Martin.
tank.
We will
Target
let you
locked.
know. And Bastianini then has got into his rhythm. He's starting to close that gap bit by bit now, and he's now starting to put out a little bit of a lead over Brad Binder. But once again, we have to say, Brad Binder doing a phenomenal job to still be in the podium places.
Object destroyed.
2/3 distance
Hostile
in this
tank
Grand
marked.
Prix is quite exceptional. You rode on board a moment ago with the world champion Fabio Quartararo. He is pretty much in a lonely 8th place at the moment. He is 7 seconds off the lead and simply unable to match the pace of these guys at the front. But Bastianini is starting to motor. He's starting to loom for Repsol Honda. That gap now under a second.
Fabio Quartararo at the moment, the start of his world title defence. It's a pretty forlorn one, I'm afraid. He's down in 8th place. He's there, fair distance ahead of him. He's not coming under any pressure from Johan Zarco. Those two, of course, had a historic memorable French 1-2 in the Grand Prix. Paul Espargaro trying to create some history. This is 136 MotoGP start. He's never had a single win. There's been close calls, there's been close moments, but he's never going to have a better chance of winning in the Premier
Object
Class.
damaged.
He came to this team to do
Touchdown.
this. He said last year it was a dream come true to ride in these colours. He said you have to win when you ride the Repsol Honda. He's 6.5 laps away from proving so
Identified.
many people wrong. I think the doubters that didn't think Paul Espargaro had it in him.
We've got a track.
Object repaired.
At this speed. Putting up a stunning fight here in Qatar.
Target
He's well
locked.
on course.
It's finished. Roll it out.
Of the season.
Yeah, he's
Target
just holding
locked.
that gap at the moment.
Track
This
repaired.
rocket started the lap at 0.9 of a second. You can see 0.8 on the left-hand side of your screen, but time will soon run out for Enea Bastianini if he doesn't make serious inroads over the course of this lap. Sector 3 clicks up now. It is 0.8 of a second.
Target locked.
So Bastianini is starting to close in, but another rider with good late race pace is Aleix Espargaro. He's hot on the heels.
Threat
On the
destroyed.
inside, is he? No, not quite, of Marc Marquez, but that Aprilia that impressed us through pre-season testing is living up to billing.
Yeah, Marc Marquez has got big brother here, hasn't he? From the latest time. Just looks like at this stage of the Grand Prix, Marc Marquez has not got anything for his teammate Paul Espargaro or Enea Bastianini.
Identify
Still
target.
decides on third place, I think. Here comes Aleix
Target locked
Espargaro.
on.
There's nothing wrong with the top speed of that factory Aprilia as well. Can we see Espargaro brothers seem
Target
to be
locked.
fighting together for the podium?
Identified.
Bastianini a quarter of a second quicker as Marc Marquez rolls wide. He just about gets it back across to the right-hand side to hold off Aleix Espargaro. But we are potentially looking, maybe Alex keeps us saying this, of course, but we are potentially looking at an Espargaro back double on the podium. Brad Binder is not going to give that away too easily. He's still holding his own in third place, but Aleix Espargaro Spargo is one of the fastest riders on track. He's still in the 154s, but Bastianini is without question the danger man. He's still doing mid-154s on lap 16 of this Grand Prix. A 154.5 last time around, a quarter of a second quicker than the leader.
It's only ever happened twice before in Grand Prix history, two brothers sharing a podium. There's been no brothers on the same podium in MotoGP since Nobuatsu and Takuma Ryoki at Imola back in 1997. 25 long years ago. Are we about to see that amazing feat here? Marc Marquez looks like he's in a bit of trouble here. Aleix Espargaro looks like at this stage of the race he's got the better pace. We're now into that phase of the Grand Prix where tyre wear is going to be king. Who has kept the best life in that rear tyre in particular? 6 laps to go, 5.5 to go. Binder at the moment looks like he is able to streak away from Marc Marquez. Can he resist? Can he hold Aleix Espargaro at bay and hang on to that 4th spot?
Yeah, this is where the medium rear tyre for Aleix Espargaro is really going to pay him back. Marc Marquez on the softer option. Aleix Espargaro just appears to have more pace and more grit in these closing stages of the race. Likewise up at the front, of course. Both Repsol Hondas went for the softer option.
He's gone for
Here
it.
comes Aleix Espargaro up the inside and he leaves an elbow on Marc Marquez. Marc Marquez did not expect Cyril Aprilia to be coming past him in the first Grand Prix of the season, but Aleix Espargaro with some serious pace up into P4.
You just knew Marc Marquez was not going to give that one up without a fight, and he didn't. But Aleix Espargaro, it was tight, but he made it through. Now then, look at that gap coming down here. Enea Bastianini, we talked about it so many times last year. He was the master of tyre preservation. How many times did he come from so far back? He's just set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 1:54.338. It's very much game on here now in Qatar. Pol Espargaro is quickly being reeled in here by the impressive Italian. A couple laps ago, his advantage is 1.6 seconds. It's now down to just a couple of tenths. Pol Espargaro trying desperately to cling on here to what will be a famous victory. On course, though, for an emotional win will be Enea Bastianini. He's right now on the rear tyre of the Repsol Honda man.
How much do you want it, Paul? He's going to be desperately searching for grip in these closing 5 laps of the race. And this is a symbol of just how competitive and just how deep the talent pool is in MotoGP. The first Grand Prix of the 2022 season, and we have 2 riders battling it out for their maiden Grand Prix victory in the class.
Yeah, now he's going to try and use a bit of Ducati power, or will he try and attack before turn 16 and then try and fire away from Pol Espargaro? I wonder what's going through the minds right now of the likes of Pecco Bagnaia and Jack Miller. This is the bike they rode so brilliantly well last year. They're both out of this Grand Prix, and the bike that they gave up last season, not through choice of course, is potentially on course to win the season-opening Grand Prix here in Qatar. They come through the fast right-handers. Pol Espargaro still standing firm. A bit of a twist there on the front end for Bastianini. This is all about your rear tyre choice now, and it looks like with that medium compound on the rear of that Gresini Ducati, it's better in the hands of Bastianini. Will he attack at turn 15? No, he's not going to take the big risk. It just looks like now it's a matter of time before he hits the front. Bide his time, be patient. He's got the better speed at this stage of the race than Pol Espargaro. He doesn't need to take big risks. He doesn't need to be rash.
A little bit of a shake from the nose of that Honda for Pol Espargaro as he came round turn 14, but here's where we expect the move to happen, and Enea Bastianini then pulls out of the slipstream straight past Pol Espargaro. Can Pol Espargaro get back past? Does he have any grip on the brakes to get past? No. Bastianini gets his stops, and Pol Espargaro in fact runs wide into turn 1.
That's game over for Pol Espargaro. He did that in one of the Grand Prix here last year. The pressure's been building. Wow, what's going through the thoughts here now of the Gresini team? And of course, the mistake from Pol Espargaro now means that it's Binder and Marc Marquez back on the podium.
Brad Binder's in second. Pol Espargaro's got back on in third. He's just managed to hold up his brother, but yeah, the brothers could soon be battling it out for the final podium position. The Suzuki challenge just hasn't materialised. Mir and Rins running solidly in the low 155s. They are closing in. Mir's closing in on the back of Marc Marquez, so we could see those two battling for 5th position, but this is the battle for the lead, and Enea Bastianini 4 laps away from history.
Well, Honda said they'd found some horsepower in the winter. They clearly have. That's all though about the third gear final corner. Pol Espargaro was desperately trying to resist. He just got a bit of slipstream behind Enea Bastianini, a bit of dirty air as well. He runs in hot, and that looks like it might be victory hopes over. Still on course for a potential top 3. A great way to start the year for Enea Bastianini. It's in his hands now. What an emotional win this would be. This team was set up by Fausto Gresini before he tragically lost his life just over 1 year ago to COVID-19. I'm sure Fausto is looking down now and being so proud of what he left behind. His widow down there in pit lane, she can barely watch the action. Enea Bastianini on course for what would be a truly emotional and remarkable win. What a way to kick off 2022 in MotoGP.
Yeah, what an incredible podium we're potentially staring at. 3 laps to go as they come across the line now. Brad Binder has just kept himself in the fight. He's not faded like we thought he might. With those medium tyres, they're really helping him in the closing stages of this Grand Prix. He leads Pol Espargaro over the line by 0.3 of a second and looks pretty comfortable there in second place. Espargaro, that's Espargaro Paul, may soon be looking over his shoulder for his older brother Aleix Espargaro. Can Aprilia still find their way onto the podium in this season opener?
I'll be gobsmacked if there's any fingernails left in that Gresini garage right now, because this is real tense stuff. Big twitch again. Look at Pol Espargaro, he's got nothing left in that soft rear tyre. He had a twitch going into turn 4, a twitch coming out of it as well. There is Nadia Padoviani, the Gresini Racing MotoGP team principal. I'm sure the tears are going to be flowing post-race here for Enea Bastianini. Can hang on, he looks so good, he looks so comfortable. What a star Ducati having to make it here as well. This was a guy that only won 5 races in his Moto3 career. He went on to win the Moto2 World Championship, and a new star is being born and created right here now. What a night as well for Red Bull KTM Factory Racing, with Brad Binder on course to take a podium, a dream start for the team manager Francesco Guidotti.
Absolutely. This was a circuit that historically has never suited KTM. As mentioned, they've never been in the top 6 here in a MotoGP race. But Brad Binder, a cracking qualifying lap yesterday, keeps himself on further on the grid. A brilliant start to the second round with that leading group, and he has stuck around throughout the course of this Grand Prix. Espargaro just scrabbling for grip, unable to really make a challenge. But this is the rider that they're all trying to catch, and Enea Bastianini
Identify target.
to lap pretty solidly in the but not enough at the moment to close in. That lead, 1.3 seconds.
Yeah, Pol Espargaro attacked, didn't he, on that soft rear tyre, trying to make the gap and then hoping he can manage it towards the latter stages of the Grand Prix. It hasn't quite worked out, although at the moment he's hanging on to the podium. He's coming under pressure though from his older brother. Pol Espargaro has got bragging rights at stake here, as well as 16 points. Brad Binder looks secure in second. This man looks really good. Bastianini 1.2 seconds clear. The race-winning champion. It hasn't materialised at all. Likewise, Fabio Quartararo.
Identify target.
He's coming under attack from Johan Zarco behind him. In fact, Zarco behind Ducati has just first the fast end of the race. A 1.46, 8 tenths faster than Fabio Quartararo. So Quartararo actually might lose that 8th spot and drop back down to 9.
Absolutely, chasing in opening night for the reigning world champion. One of the battles that I think we will be seeing on this final lap is between the 2 Espargaro brothers. Here they are, Pol Espargaro running in 3rd position, but Aleix Espargaro is one of the few riders in its closing stages able to still lap in the 154.
Pol Espargaro has just got nothing left in that soft rear tyre. We just saw him there coming out of turn 6 on the gas. It was like a bucking bronco, bouncing and pumping. He's just now hanging on for dear life, trying to hope that that soft rear tyre hangs in there, and he hopes behind him. The tears are already flowing. We can't underestimate just what a special moment this will be in the history of the MotoGP World Championship. Fausto Gresini was one of the most long-serving and loyal members of this MotoGP World Championship. He had teams in Moto3, teams in Moto2, teams in MotoGP. He loved and lived for racing. And there is his wife, Nadia, looking on, and she is about to see Enea Bastianini, a man who of course was given his big break in World Championship racing by Fausto Gresini, a man who he had faith in, a man who he believed in, and now that faith and belief is being repaid big time. We're going to choke up here in the commentary box as well here, aren't we? Because Enea Bastianini has, just over 5.3 kilometres to go between himself and the most emotional of Grand Prix victories here in Qatar.
Yeah, Brad Binder, to his credit, isn't giving up on this just yet. He was a tenth quicker once again on that penultimate lap, but it will only take a mistake now for Enea Bastianini to lose this one. Brad Binder, though, 2nd place incoming for the first Grand Prix of the season for the factory KTM team. What a start for Francesco Guidotti, and that new Honda that we've talked about all winter looks like it might just hang on to a podium. Pol Espargaro has got 4/10 of a second in his pocket over his older brother Aleix, and Marc Marquez still holding firm ahead of Joan Zarco to close in the 5th position.
You can see there the 10 of you on the left-hand side of the picture. Enea Bastianini now coming through this second sector. They don't think Brad Binder's going to be close enough to try and deny him this famous victory. It looks like as well Paul Espargaro's going to hang on to third place. Great job by him on the left and on the left. That soft tyre, but it's all about one man and one team. Enea Bastianini on the Gresini Racing Ducati, the year-old GP Ducati 21. He threatened this when he topped the timesheets. He topped the leaderboard in that official test in Sepang. He said all along, this new bike is capable of winning. I can fight for the championship on this bike. I'm not sure too many people believed him on that year on motorcycle, but here he goes, on course, well set to win the opening Grand Prix here in Qatar.
Yeah, Binder's closing in on this final lap. It's down to 0.6 of a second, that lead, so Binder is just keeping the Gresini team sweating right the way down to the checkered flag. Target on! And only turn 16 to go for a hugely emotional victory and a historic occasion for the Beast.
Wow.
Binder's closing.
Binder is closing, and Enea Bastianini's got to be careful here. They come out of the final corner. Enea Bastianini surely on course for a famous victory. The Beast reigns supreme in the Middle East. What an emotional victory for Enea Bastianini and the Gresini Ducati team. Emotional scenes going down in that garage. Congratulations to Brad Binder. He takes second for KTM. Does indeed hang on for third spot. Alexis Marquez takes fourth. Marc Marquez dropped back to fifth. Mir rounded out the top six. It's Rins. Zarco did get Quartararo on the last lap. We'll just pause for a moment to soak up these incredible scenes inside the Ducati garage. Tears start flowing, and you can understand why. What an incredible way to start the 2022 World Championship for that young man. Enea Bastianini, what a tribute to his former team boss at Fausto Gresini, the man who gave him his big break in Grand Prix racing as a Moto3 rider back in 2014. He's a Moto2 World Champion. He's a great prospect to be a MotoGP World Champion in the future. Great scenes down there. Ducati coming to congratulate Nadia Padovani, Gigi Dall'Igna alongside there as well. Davide Tardozzi. These are unforgettable scenes. Wow, such a pleasure, such a privilege. What an honour to be part of this championship on such an emotional night like tonight.
History made on the open visor in the helmet of Enea Bastianini. The Beast is unleashed in MotoGP. We saw a couple of occasions up to just what he was capable of. There was a podium. Look at the joy in the Red Bull KTM Factory Racing squad. They were in terrible trouble just a month ago in pre-season testing. We looked like we were going to have to be expecting the best from KTM in the second half of this season, but Brad Binder, so often a Sunday man, as he shakes hands with his brother Darren, who narrowly missed out by 1/100th of a second on scoring a point on his debut. He was picked to the line by the reigning Moto2 champion, Rennie Gardner. But KTM, an incredible start to the season. Let's get some reaction there. An emotional Michael Gresini. Let's get some reaction from Simon Crafar and Finlay.
Yes, I'm with the team manager, Michele Gresini. Michele.
If we look back 1 year ago, this is an incredible story. Congratulations.
I could not do any better myself. A truly incredible story. We're never going to forget. It was this young man's dream. He said it pre-season. If I only win one race in MotoGP, it will be a fantastic way to pay tribute and pay homage to the late great Fausto Gresini. He's done it. That's his first MotoGP victory, and it's certainly not going to be his last. That was awesome. What a rider. With Gian Antonio as well. His teammate. Their careers launched by Fausto Gresini. Joy and jubilation on one side of the gallery, on one side of the pit lane for Gresini. Frustration. Fabio Quartararo lost 8th place on that last lap. This was the key moment. A sitting duck, completely powerless, absolutely nothing he could do about this. Johann Zarco winds that Ducati up to top gear. Oh, it was close.
That's what 0.007 of a second looks like.
Let's pop back down to Simon in pit lane. What a dream debut to his factory KTM career for new team manager Francesco Guidotti. His man Binder on the
Francesco, what a first working KTM. I'm going to say Enea's right at the beginning, but Brad, that was just as
insane. Was absolutely insane. And yeah, he did a very race, no mistakes. He controlled. I mean, he was fast. That's it. And yeah, it's a great and incredible start.
Massive,
unforgettable start.
massive congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, huge congratulations to all concerned in the factory KTM team, but these are scenes that we will never forget. They're going to live long in the memory. The ecstatic, and quite rightly so, Gresini Ducati team, Enea Bastianini embraces his nearest and dearest. What an emotional victory. He gives a big hug to his famous manager Carlo Pernat, one of the larger-than-life characters, it's fair to say, around this MotoGP paddock. What a ride that was. We said, didn't we, with those last 6 or 7 laps, this guy last year, his forte was managing that rear tyre. Truly amazing ride. Aleix Espargaro, what, less than a second away from the podium. His son Max certainly enjoyed it. And what about that for Aprilia Racing, of course? Kudos to them, the closest they've ever finished to the winner in the modern MotoGP era. Your time will come, Aleix. That RSGP clearly has race winning and podium potential this year. 2.242 seconds away from the win. Great start for Aprilia as well.
There's so many stories coming out of this opening round in the season. Of course, Qatar is a bit of a particular track. It's not a track that's necessarily representative of all the places we're going to go over the course of this 21-round MotoGP season. But Enea Bastianini proving that he is the real deal on that 2021 Ducati, proving perhaps that the 2021 Ducati is still currently the best Ducati to be on. A disastrous opening night for the factory Ducati team, the reigning Constructors Champions and Teams Champions, just not getting any points out of this opening round of the season. Suzuki's impressive pace in testing didn't quite materialise on opening night, and Fabio Quartararo's worst fears were realised.
And who is Enea Bastianini's crew chief? I've just remembered, of course, Alberto Giurabiola, a man who was crew chief to Andrea Dovizioso when he won here in 2018 and 2019. I'm sure fans all around the world, those of you lucky enough to be part of our first virtual fan wall of the season, really enjoyed that. At times it was edge of the seat stuff. We saw Marc Marquez battling for the win early on before he dropped back to 5th place. These are such special scenes that we'll all savour for many years to come. Those tears are going to flow long into the night. I don't think they'll stop actually before we get on the plane to go to Indonesia in a couple of weeks' time. Carmelo Espeleta, Dorna CEO, of course, who has done so much behind the scenes to make sure the Gresini Ducati team could continue with the inspiration and the belief of Nadia Padovani to continue her husband's legacy. And these are moments to cherish, moments to savour. I'm sure Fausto Gresini is looking down and being so proud of everybody connected to his team. Enea Bastianini, what a start. The South African fans that have made their way here tonight, I'm sure they're delighted to see Brad Binder on the podium. Let's hear as well from, I'm sure, an ecstatic Repsol on the team manager, Pol Espargaro. Great ride by him, led for so long, and third.
Alberto, sorry there, we'll have to race off and see Pol, but I'd love of the Honda's debut night. It was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was better than before in the past, but we had a good race. I think Mark had some problem with the feeling in the front a little bit, but he preferred to finish the race. But Paul was all the race on front, and at the end, okay, he had to give up a little bit, but we are very happy. We start the season with a podium and both riders on top, so we are happy, very happy. Thank you.
Great start, Alberto. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, great start. It is worth remembering, of course, Marc Marquez, he's not really quite got his head around this new concept, this radically redesigned Honda RC213V, which with being more rear biased, get a bit more rear grip. It has taken away his strong point on the front end, so maybe, yeah, just locking down into a bit of conservation mode there. Marc Marquez just ensuring he sees the checkered flag. He's going to get stronger, he's going to get faster and more confident as he gets more experience on that bike. Congratulations, though, to Pol Espargaro. He made the running for so long. I'm sure he's still delighted with the podium. He's with Simon in Park Fair, mate.
Pol, the pace of that race was awesome, and you set it all the way to the end. I've got to say, you must be disappointed without the win, but you've got to be happy with your debut on this machine that suits you better.
Yeah, still I need some more knowledge of the bike. You know, it's the first race of this bike, and things were happening at the end of the race I didn't really expect it, and yeah, it catch me by surprise. But you know, it was not even
Identify. Reloading. Identify. Hostile tank. Identify target. Hostile tank. We got him. Sight hit. Smoke out. Move, move. Identify. Hostile tank. Target locked on. Target's gone. We took a hit. Ah! We popped our tire. Target's gone. Target down. Reloading. Optics online. Target's gone. Identify. No pen. Reloading. Incoming! Driver, move! Incoming! Identify. Awesome. Target's gone. Optics damaged. Shit! They took out my sight. They hit us hard. Target locked. Target's gone. Optics repaired. Reloading. Shit! They took out my sight. Target eliminated. down. We're hit. Shit, track's damaged. Reloading. Reloading. Identify target. Hostile tank. Identify target. Hostile tank. No effect. Reloading. Identify target. Hostile tank. Identify. Hostile tank. Incoming! Identify target. Hostile tank. Optics damaged. Identify target. Hostile tank. Reloading. Hostile tank. They took out my sight. Turret ring hit. The turret's up. Optics repaired. Smoke grenade out. Identify. Hostile tank. Incoming! We took a hit. Incoming, incoming! Incoming, incoming! Identify. Hostile tank. Incoming, driver, move! Incoming, driver, move! Identify target. Hostile truck. Incoming! Incoming Artie! Target locked on. Target's on. Incoming! Driver, move! Identify. Hostile tank. Identify. Hostile truck. Identify. Hostile truck. Optics online. Identify. Hostile tank. Smoke grenade out. They hit us hard. Track is hit. Target destroyed. Identify target. Hostile PC. No bend. Reloading. Tracked out. Identify. Hostile tank. We're hit. Hit the ammo rack. Ammo rack repaired. Tracks repaired. Optics online. Threat destroyed. Primary site's hit. Sights down. Optics repaired. The track is hit. Target locked. Identify. Hostile tank. Target locked on. Reloading. Target locked. Ah! Identify target. Hostile truck. Shit, they nailed us. Retract! Tracks up. Identify target. Hostile tank. Identify target. Hostile tank. Reloading. Identify target. Hostile tank. Identify.
Identify target.
Hostile PC. Direct hit.
Shit, we're hit!
Smoke out. Move, move.
Shit, we're hit!
The breach is out. Shit, track's damaged. Smoke out. Move, move. Enemy destroyed.
They nailed us!
We've lost track. Track repaired.
Identify target.
Hostile tank. Target locked on.
And again!
Target lost. Identify target. Hostile PC. Incoming, incoming! Broke sight. Identified. Hostile truck. Incoming, incoming! Incoming! They nailed us. Identify target. Hostile PC. Incoming Arnie! Smoke out! Move, move! Incoming! Out! Enemy destroyed. Identified. Hostile tank. Armor saved us. We're hit. Identify target. Hostile truck. Identify target. Hostile PC. Hostile tank. Down. Identified. Hostile tank. They nailed us. Primary site hit. Identified. Hostile. Identified. Hostile tank. Enemy destroyed. Direct hit. Target destroyed. Sight is up. identified target. Hostile, tank. Target down. Target locked. down. Engines repaired. Identify target. Hostile PC. Direct hit. Track damage. Reloading. Threat destroyed. Retract. Wrong side. Direct hit. Target eliminated. We're clear. Identified. Hostile tank. Identified. Hostile tank. We're hit. That was close. Aim is hard. Target locked on. Identify target. Hostile tank. Threat destroyed. We took a hit. identified.